Hello, so thank you all for gathering today. And we have three wonderful artists today with us, and we'll be talking about their exhibition um, and discussing some of the questions that they might face while organizing and with exhibitions in Lithuania and Klaipėda in Cultural Communication Center. So one of the important points is to mention that this project is part of a foreign artist exhibition cycle in KCC and is funded by Council for Culture. And here we have Henna and Kaya, who had the exhibition in October, while with me today is Sitzel, whose exhibition is still on a view until January 14. And brief introduction about the hosting institution is Klaipėda Cultural Communication Center, and it organizes art projects, introduces current trends of contemporary art, and presents Klaipėda artists locally and internationally. Also, KCCC disseminates cultural information, participates in the development of creative industries, initiates collaboration among art organizations in Klaipėda, Lithuania, and foreign countries. So also KCC runs exhibition hall where all three artists presented their works and provides international art residency and administrates a cultural portal for Lithuanian audience, which is called kulturpolis.lt. So this is a little bit about hosting institution where all three of you had the opportunity to visit and show your works. So we will start with Henna Aho and Kaya Hinkula, who had a duo exhibition called Under Conditions. And I would like you, both of you, just briefly present the show and talk a little bit about your works.
So maybe I can start. Maybe you hear me.
Yes.
So I'm Kaya Hinkula. So I'm the other artist in our duo show with Henna Aho. And we had this nice chance to produce it in KCC. Thanks for that. And maybe about our background, that with Henna, we both studied painting in Art Academy of Helsinki. So that's where we know each other and where we first time connected. And we both have our individual practices, but this was the first time that we made a duo show, and we have been planning to make it quite a long time, but now we finally had a chance. And what connects us that it was already in our university. I think we both were interested in same kind of questions about painting in its expanded form, that how far painting can go and what is the form of expanded painting during this time. So as you can see the following pictures, that we use materials quite widely in the exhibition. We used a lot of ready-made elements and also painted surfaces and craft and laser cut pieces and also video work, and like this you can see right now. But I think in KCC gallery we had like two parts of the exhibition. So the basic structure went that we had this dark space, and then we had the more like a white box space, and we decided to make it like that this white space was more like traditionally. Here you can see the picture. This was the other room where our works was like individually made and individually hung, and more like it could be in some other space we have had before. But then we had the really inspiring black space where we decided to make this installation like together. So it's like there was quite strong site-specific aspect in this, and we created like together as like a duo. And yes, maybe about the title. The title was Under Conditions. I would say it refers a lot of this site-specific aspect of our work, that the work, how it's made under these conditions the space is giving, and how we are affecting each other and the space, and how the space is affecting us. And I would also say that like individually, the under conditions can be also referred to the world itself, that like in the show, how it creates a space where everyday elements meets and creates something more out of them, like living under these conditions of the world. I would say that. Do you want to, Henna, add something?
Yeah, thank you, Kaija. It was very well described. I am Henna, the other part of the duo. And yeah, Kaija told very nicely about our exhibition. And I still want to add one nice element for this Under Conditions title, like this foreign culture we traveled to do the show. It was also part of this space, this gallery space that was near to us, but also this different culture than our own. It was also this, we couldn't know beforehand how exactly it is. So it was lots of big part of this improvised dark room space that we really tried to be like create this part of the exhibition together with the space, the culture, and of course the energy between me and Kaija. That was also new to us, this duo working method.
I could also add one part of the exhibition, that there was also a written part of Eero Karjalainen, which can be maybe found online. So if someone is interested, I recommended to read that also as part of the exhibition.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you, Henna and Kaija. We will come back to your work shortly. And now let's hear a little bit about Sitsel's show, which just opened on December 15.
Yeah, hello, I'm Sissel, and as Dawa just said, the show opened this Friday, so it's very new and fresh also to me. So there will be some images of it here. So I work mostly in the field of sculpture and installation. I am often very interested in how you can work with a sense of two-dimensionality in with sculpture, or how you can understand something that seems flat, three-dimensional and sculptural. So there's a lot of things that is concerned with surfaces and leveling things out or together, and pulling up floors maybe, and pieces down somehow, you could maybe say. So in this case here, I had the chance to produce new works and show some older works together, and try to make a whole, trying to see how also some of the bigger pieces will work together in this kind of open space, because I like the idea of open space also, or like having almost a sense of horizon or something like this. So it was a lot of fun to me to try this out. And the show is called Fine Shelf, which is a title that for me kind of also tries to define what I was interested in. In one sense, you could maybe say, like, I think the title has a question in it, or like a doubleness in it. In one sense, it is saying that there is a fine shelf, like a beautiful shelf, or a precious shelf, like a very simple furniture object. On the other hand, I think also it could mean that there's something precious being presented on a fine shelf, maybe. So you have something that you want to show, and the shelf is kind of it is kind of holding this. So I wanted this doubleness of the furniture, or this piece of wood or whatever, being like the main attraction, or the small things that you kind of show, that you want to kind of look at. So it can be both, and that was the idea in this exhibition, that you always go between both. It is like the structure, but it is also the small things, maybe somehow connected to these structures. So maybe you can see it on the photos. There are some different materials also. I am working in very diverse materials, and I have a lot of glass beads in this show that you can see around. There's some hanging weave pieces, some wooden pieces, and so on. So yeah, that might be the basic idea of the show. Yeah.
Thank you, Sitzel. Thank you all, and I wanted to initiate and now start the discussion. And one of the key elements that is really vivid, I think, for all the artists is the locality. And firstly, I wanted to ask Henna and Kaya about the local materials and environment that impact them, or maybe they don't. So in your exhibition, you actually almost stage the space. You have this in the text, it is defined as like performative act, where you're putting things together. And for me, it's really interesting. So maybe you source some local materials to create this expanded objects of a painting, or maybe you brought everything, and how locality then impacts your creative works and how you look at it. And also one of the key elements is in your exhibition is that there's two rooms. So one is like the darker space, one is the brighter one. And I thought maybe it's maybe a key to understand better the exhibition, and also when thinking about expanded painting, that it really plays with the color and the light. So you have this divided two spaces. So maybe this also is part of local environment, the space that you had to work with and where you had to present your works.
Do you want to go first, or?
I can start. Yes, about these spaces, we had beforehand, the little video of the space from Gavija. And we started to, when in Finland, because we also with Kaija, we live in different cities, so we don't have this normal everyday that we can meet and chat, but we also have to work online. So this has been really designing in Zoom and these kind of environments, this exhibition. But so we had these videos of the space, and then we decided kind of that, like Kaija already said, that the backspace, kind of the white space that looks more like a normal traditional gallery, that we want to present our works there that Kaija has made by her own, from her normal practice, and I will do the same with mine. And that was kind of easy and secure way to start this, because we have done this kind of work many times before. But then, because we wanted I think that we wanted to expand also this idea of working together a little bit further, that we wanted to make a show that it's not only works from Kaija and works from me presented together, but we wanted to try a little bit kind of play and experiment that if we work together, like by creating a new work that is made by both of us, and with also the space, the gallery space. And that is the story of the first space that we call the black space, that when you enter our exhibition, you firstly arrive to this black playground that is more like experimental, adventurous, and that is the thing that we created and improvised in that gallery space. So this is the basic structure that we decided that this is how it will work. This also is related to this locality because of this black space, I think.
Yeah, I think like the word local, it's quite like a site specific. Like it could be like what is local, what is like site specific. It's quite the same. But yeah, I feel the same, and I think, of course, because of the other space with the wooden structures and darker lines, like it's quite different space than the other. So it gave this extra boost to that, I think, because in that space it's not even like possible to make it white box. It's like already quite a character, the space.
Yeah.
So, but I think we also made it quite in process. I think, like, of course, if you only see the outcome, you cannot see what happened there, like during the days that we were trying things out and played around with the elements. And what comes to like local elements, I think finally the things that we found from that building, finally we didn't use those. They were included in the show at Sandbond, but like I think they like the most maybe. But I think them. Yeah, but of course, yeah, we brought things and brought elements, but I think for me the most like even for me the most like surprising elements that we started to use the carrying the boxes that we carried the stuff, that they were like, and the structures that was meant to carry Henna's craft work, and we were using finally those like domestic stuff that like outside of the artworks, and they became like part of the pieces finally.
And then I remember we also, when we both brought some material from our towns, but then we also visited this what is the name, this big shop in Klaipėda, because we realized that hey, now we need something. We didn't actually, we had some ideas about sun umbrellas or something. And then we took a car and we drove one evening to one shop. I don't remember the name. It's big shop in Klaipėda, and we wanted
like a warehouse or
warehouse. And we wanted to. Well, we bought couple of blankets and this kind of silver roll stuff. I don't even know how it is in English, but we bought something from that warehouse to be part of the exhibition.
Thank you. I thought it's also important to mention that Kaija and Henna, you had really short time to install and like actually work with the space. On the other hand, Sitzel that we have here had the opportunity to stay in residency, and maybe I wanted to ask the same question about locality and how it impacted Sitzel's work, because when I looked at the documentation, I saw some elements that really feels familiar, because Sitzel spent 2 months in residency in Nidart Colony, and I used to work here for 1.5 years, just before 3 months ago. And some of the objects, for example, the necklaces that we're hanging, it's such a resort element, because when you go to Nida, you can buy amber necklaces everywhere. And then there's hanging structures of laundry, and one of the key elements is also this metal hanging structure surrounding, in a city where you would have to pass all around them. And also there's a small collection of objects that Sitzel created herself. which reminds something like, I don't know, found objects in the sand that sometimes doesn't make sense, but we're really fine and beautiful. So I just wanted to ask you about, different impact when as an artist you had the opportunity to spend 2 months in the same region. Think about it, and maybe some of the inspirations that I just saw from your works came from that period.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's not completely like a conscious process what will impact you, but if you work in a place for like intensively for a longer period, I think it will impact your work. And in this case, I went to Nida for 2 months. And it was a really good work stay. And I knew, of course, that I would be showing my work in Klaipėda. So it was, on one hand, it was an open stay where I could develop stuff. On the other hand, it was also very directed towards this space that I, of course, visited in Klaipėda. So I had the chance to kind of work towards this show. And in Nida, you have like chances to work in different fields. Also, there it's on the Curonian Spit, and there's a lot of wood and a wonderful woodwork shop in the place. So to me, that seemed like natural to work with within this structure. So seeing how this is possible, and I was able to weave on a small loom in Nida, so the weave pieces also. So a lot of stuff happened there, and partly maybe, for example, these small pieces that look like they have been found in the sand can very well be that it is introduced because I was at the coastline for so long. But some other pieces I had already also somehow in mind, because I knew, okay, I will be able to work in this field and I would be interested in doing this kind of work. So it's not directly like an inspiration from a place that then is turned into an art piece. So it's a little bit of both, I guess. And it was for me, of course, very, very good to be able to know the space beforehand, like in Klaipėda.
So we continue talking about the locality, and one of the things is that for all of you, Kaija and Henna coming from Finland, for Sitzel coming from Berlin, it was unknown space, something you yet sometimes had time to explore, or sometimes maybe you didn't. And I wanted to ask firstly Kaija and Henna about what does it mean to have this unknown location. Maybe it works as like, I don't know, catalysator to actually find novel expressions for you, especially as a duo going abroad and after working online on exhibition and then coming there and having this time farther away from maybe the art field in Finland to have opportunity show something a bit differently.
Yes, actually, we were talking about this with Henna, that like when we decided to go abroad and we ended up to Klaipėda, and like how it feels different when you know that like there is like different people and different audience who don't know your history and maybe don't know your practice. So it gave quite of like a free, like a mentally, like a space for creating stuff that like it's something like not maybe it's not like real thing, but like you feel like it's like a mentally free thing, like you can somehow like start over something that like, because I think in Finland we are like mostly known doing stuff individually. So yeah, I think it was a good combo.
Yeah, it was totally true. Like we have exhibited a lot in Finland, both separately, actually not even once as a duo, maybe in group shows sometimes together, but then there has been many other people also. But I think this was good to try like really freely to create new rules also and to explore that what could it be, because we could really forgot our how we are known in Finland, what kind of things people are relating to our work, because kind of nobody knew us in Klaipėda, so we could be whatever we want. So that was nice try. A really nice start to our collaboration.
Yeah, nice feeling. Yeah.
How did you decide to work with the Klaipėda Cultural Communication Center?
I think we showed the open call and we applied for that. And yeah, and actually I have to say that like, especially now when because I haven't been in Klaipėda or even in Lithuania before, but seems like that like there is like interesting things going on now in Lithuania. So yeah, I'm really happy that we ended up to show this there. But yeah, it was like a true open call.
Yeah.
Okay, when that's fine. We come back to the Sitzel a little bit, and also actually Sitzel also had in August the experience of making a show with like other artists, like a duo show, but not collaborating so consciously as a duo instantly. And I wanted to ask her and maybe invite you to start this discussion about working as a duo and maybe working outside of ideas like duo artists, but like maybe a group show. So the show was called In the Near, yes, in Berlin, and you were showing your work with Solveig de Berry. And the topics that you discuss about, working as a duo artist are probably very well known for Sitzel, because you also had to share the space with an artist who's a painter. So maybe with the different practices. So what was your experience, having this other artist opening your artistic project and inviting someone to join you?
Yeah, it's something that I often like showing with other people, also like in duo shows. But what I think happens, or what I am interested in, is often to still like not as much as you are describing now, that you're actually merging your work in the first room. In this case, in summer, where I was showing with Solveig de Berry, it was more, it is two practices trying to figure out how to show together. So it is not, the work is not merging together, but it is a duo show, of course, and it is also the duo work is then more about what is an exhibition. How do we create an exhibition that kind of where, as you say, like one practice opens up the other or like give new movements to the other practice, but not so much that there is one new collaborative artwork created together. So it's a little bit probably more like your white space room, I would say. But I'm really interested in how this works as well, like how you make this, like this energy come through being two people working together, because you get to know the artworks of the other one very well, of course, and you can discuss through the pieces, which I think is really interesting. So yeah, the friend of mine, or the Solveig de Berry, she made a huge painting on the windows, and I worked in the space, and in that sense also the windows, of course, worked into the space too. So yeah, I don't know if that is answering.
Sitzel was asking you how you actually invite each other into the processes. And one of the interesting things for me was like, because you have different media formats. And I was interested in using the video in your exhibition Under Conditions. And the video was made by Kaya, but I was interested how Henna, you then like absorb it or take this new media that I don't know if you often use the video, but like, is it foreign, some kind of material? And how do you manage to actually invite each other in this kind of different media processes?
Please.
I think yes, there was like 2 video pieces included in the installation, but how I see it, that like the video was only like a one object or one material between a lot of things going on there. So I don't know. Of course, it's like different because it's digital and it's not so handmade, but still, I don't see it so differently. Still, I think it's quite still like when you put all together, it's like one part of it. And actually, what we were thinking, but we didn't have time to do that we were thinking to maybe make a video piece out of our like play there, like making the installation and put that video into the installation. But of course, the time was so limited that it wasn't possible. But still, I think the moving image, I think it's more like it's filmed performance, maybe more than a video work. But I think it still gave something, the same feeling, because what happens in the video, it's quite something similar that we do in the space when we are making the show. So
yeah, and you used some of the materials in the installation also that were part of the video works. So they were connected materiality, like concrete materials.
Yeah, it brings like the double image that what's inside the video you can find also in the space. But yeah.
And how...
But it's also for me, it's quite like a new media. It's like I have been making the short videos, or I call them like the video performances. I don't call myself video artist, but like that's also a new practice for me, that like I have been like thinking that like it would be nice to have also something performative. And then I noticed that like I'm not a performance artist, like live performance artist. So that was my solution, to bring something performativity from my studio to the show. So that's why I ended up with the video work.
Yeah. And for you, Henna, is video performances is something that you're interested in, or it's something that just complements your practice as a duo? And also, I thought about weaving. If I'm correct, Henna, you're more of a person who does the weaving, yes?
Yes, in this exhibition, the weaving parts came from my side, but as Kaija shortly commented earlier, I think like we both have so many different mediums or materialities or ways of working that we use for painting. Like Kaija uses video, laser cutting, ready-made installation, and certain materials. I have weaving, also ready-made, some other things, whatever, not video and not digital stuff, at least at the moment. But there could be also sound, maybe some live doing, why not? I think we both are persons who are allowing us to use whatever medium kind of as brushes. And that is something that combines us and all these different techniques, that they are not these mediums as such in a way, but they are like brush strokes. And when we go together, we can take whatever medium and we do the painting, this expanded painting with those mediums. I don't know if this is clear or weird, or do I explain it so you can understand? But that is what combines us with Kaija and makes it so, I think, natural, because we don't have exact like things or mediums that we are professional using in this way. Of course, we are professionals in this way, but not like Kaija said, she's not video artist, but she uses video. I'm not textile artist at all, but I use weaving. But I could also sing if I would like to.
Yeah, it's thank you. It's really beautiful description of expanded painting and how many different opportunities it opens, and just the media is just one of the ways how to express yourself. And it's really interesting how you just complement each other with different tools that you have, with different brush strokes that you actually accumulate individually. And when it comes together, it creates something quite performative and unique. And I wanted to ask about other aspect of working as a duo, because being a duo is a new identity that you adapted. And I'm really glad to be able to talk with you after your first time doing a duo show abroad. And for me, it's interesting what kind of maybe difficulties you're facing, or especially the art field system that we have, you know, institutions, funding, and just opportunities that you get as a duo. Is it like more limiting you or encouraging you to continue working in a field as, you know, group of two people? Or how hard it is to navigate it, as you now are not only responsible personally and individually only for your work, but like in this group dynamic?
I think there can be like many sides, but I think like the first important thing is to find like a right person to do like stuff together. And I think like our energies, like they're working really well, and we are not fighting when we are deciding what to do with the work. That I noticed that it went quite nicely. But like in the future, we are going to have a new duo show. It's after a year, it will be in Estonia. And but I think in the art field, we are both also doing like also in the future our individual work. And I think in the future we can make the both, that this can be the other project. But
yeah,
in Finland, there is like fundings for duos also, or working groups, as there is for individuals. But of course, it depends of the spaces, that some spaces don't want duos, some are showing also only like solo shows for artists. But at least this far, I think there is space for duos also. It depends where you are, because I think we are not working for any commercial gallery, so I think no one is not really limiting us for trying new things, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I as it comes to this working together versus solo, I think this kind of working that we are doing with Kaija, this needs both sides. That if we wouldn't have this personal like solo practice, I think there wouldn't be any kind of we could bring to our common area. So we both have to experiment and find and bring something nice that is new, like when we work together. But also, I think that this working together, it enriches also our solo practices. I felt really fresh. I always feel really fresh when we talk with Kaija about all these processes. So it gives also some energy to my solo work that would be very solo and maybe lonely even if I would do only that.
That's actually a good point, that like without our solo practices, there wouldn't be anything to put together. That actually is really true, because in our common work, you can see that this is Henna, this is Kaija, and this is them together. So it would be totally different to do something from the start, that like without our own practices.
Yeah.
So the question is how to put them together and what more comes out of that. Yeah, that's true.
And you formed your duo not from the first time that you met and you had some questions and time spent together thinking, can you work on it? So would you like to share a little bit some kind of like challenges that you faced at the beginning, you know, as like artists thinking about working together?
Yeah, there was some questions like it was maybe from some professor or something like why to make things together and what or maybe she was maybe more like putting questions that think that why you want to do things together and like if there is a really like a red line in that or is there not. So I think it's good to think that why, because many times of course you can also make not do a project but like group shows that like artists maybe don't have anything to do with each other, they just artists just put themselves in the same show. So maybe those questions has been maybe to help us to deepen to think about it, like yeah.
But it's interesting, like I remember this discussion, this a little bit critical questioning that when we presented this idea that we want to show together, that why you two, and we couldn't explain that at that moment. But still I think that if she would ask this again, I'm not sure if I would be really clear even now, because I think it's more about this some kind of intuitive recognition of the energy or the other, or maybe our works are speaking with each other in certain way that my reasonable mind can't put into words. But there is some kind of, how do you say, vetovoima, like things are pulled together, and I feel that I need to do with this person, this Kaija, and her works. I want my working works want to do that. But it's not really like, it's more something about, I think, some kind of energy thing.
Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah, that's true. And of course, like, I don't know, it's maybe more institutional thing that like maybe for some institutions it would be a problem to, like, as you say, that like people want to create their stuff, that if there is like two artists and someone wants to create only one artist on blah blah blah, but I don't know, if it's not like, maybe it's not our thing to think about those. We just do our stuff and we can we hope to find places to show them. So it's not so calculated thing, it's just thing that we want to do.
Thank you so much for sharing more details about your duo practice. And as I mentioned, there was a show in the near together. Sitzel did it with Solveig. And one of the things I wanted to discuss is that it was self-organized in a space. And now Find Shelf, the solo show that you did, is firstly had a residency where you had time to create things. And then it's organized by Klaipėda Cultural Communication Center. And it's kind of like gives a lot of strength and support for the artists from art institutions. So maybe there's specific key elements that you felt were different, you know, because you get a specific care from the institution that can provide you, I don't know, even like workshops, infrastructure. And on the other hand, how different it is to do a self-organized exhibition in a space that you actually create yourself.
Yeah, it's quite different. I think I enjoy both in its different ways. So that is also for me like relating to that part with the duo show, when you're organizing your shows yourself. It's just also a lot more fun if you're not doing it alone. Like if you're not doing a self-organized solo show, it's a lot more. There's a lot more energy and there's a lot more also work power. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun to organize it with another person, because there is, of course, a lot of things you have to think about and deal with, like practical stuff. When you do art shows, like we make things, so they have to go from A to B, and somehow they have to be put up or laid down or anyway, and you have to talk with people, and there's a lot of things to do, and all of this is just it's a process that is better to be two at least about than one. So, and now in this case I had the chance of then doing a show on my own, but with the support of other people. So then again it's fun because you still have like this other people that you are relating to or that are relating to you, and you get this you get this help that you need to be able to put up a show like that anyway. So and in my case they were really helpful also at the Nida Art Colony, so being able to produce relatively close to Klaipeda and keeping stuff like keeping art pieces there and transporting them up to Klaipeda, of course, also makes a big difference. So, you know, people also, when you are working in an environment where you don't speak the language, you are quite dependent that somebody might do and will do this call for you and talk with these people for you maybe, and so yeah, when you're in a foreign country, it's even more important to have like somebody helping you out, I think. So yeah, both things are fun. The self-organized is, of course, also there's a lot of freedom to it, just as you, Kaya, said that you are making what you like to make, and then you're searching for a space to show it, and you have a lot of when you're self-organized, you don't necessarily have to wait for somebody to decide if you are allowed to or not. It's in your own hands, and that's a nice feeling too.
Thank you so much. I think we highlighted different forms of care. In various institutional care, there's like working as a duo, having another artist to count on, to talk with. And I think it's really essential to just continue having discussions in the art field with like cultural workers, but also with artists themselves, to create the safe environments where art can be born, with this essential task of everyone to like somehow gatekeep and like create the space for the possibilities. And I'm really glad to actually have this opportunity to talk with you and talk about the environments and your practices and how the space was created and how you keep on doing your practices. So thank you. I wish you all the best. I hope still to have opportunity to see your Sitzel show on Fine Shelf until January 14 in Klaipeda. And thank you so much for participating, and hope to see you in another context.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabi, and thank you, Victoria.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.